Working on art since I was a kid, I never really thought too much about how much your back would play an important part in your art process. I know that sounds really stupid thinking about it, but just sometimes you do things. You do things and you keep going and you don't really think too much. Not like it does anything too crazy, it's just if you stay hunched over too long, you lose circulation, your digestive tract gets messed up, you don't breathe as well until you're not getting enough oxygen into your brain, you start getting tension headaches. There's a lot. In summation, in the past 6 years, I've realized just how much I have destroyed my back because of using tools like an iPad and Cintiq, but it's not because of the tools themselves. Let me explain. Pre-2020, I was working on Unbreakable Iron Ranger. In 2018, I was able to make 5 episodes in a year. In 2019, I was able to make 4. Each episode on average was about 30 pages. That's about almost 150 in year 1 and 120 in year 2. Keep in mind there were some episode differences. Episodes 1 and 2 only had 22 pages. Episode 8, which came out during 2019, only had 15 pages, so that's the rough estimation. 150 pages in year 1, 120 pages in year 2. But once again, iPad and Cintiq, my production grinded to a halt. But it wasn't inherently the fault of my tools, it was my application in using them. See, you heard it from a lot more skilled artists. It's not about the tools that make the artist. Tools don't just make you automatically better. If I handed a construction worker a Cintiq with the highest end rig and a copy of Clip Studio Paint, the dude doesn't know how to just draw something like Get a Robo Arc immediately. Much of the same way, you can't give me some of the best construction equipment and expect me to build a new skyscraper. If you're not using your tools correctly, it can ironically hinder you more than help. And that's what I ended up learning. So here's the thing, I'm pretty damn stubborn. For a while, I was only using the same laptop since 2016. Besides upgrading my screenless tablet thrice within a decade period, I really didn't invest a whole lot into the tools I was using, besides that screenless tablet. My first screenless tablet was a Wacom Bamboo, my second was a Intuos Pen and Touch. Then there was also this Wacom Comic that it basically looked like whatever these are right now, except it was called a Wacom Comic. Weird thing. Then I've got an Intuos Pro Small and then went a little bit bigger with the Intuos Pro Medium. But I only ever upgraded if parts were failing, cables were broken, or I couldn't find any replacement parts that pretty much would dictate me having to get a brand new thing entirely. The only exception to this was the Medium Pro Intuos, because it was just bigger and it had more express keys, and I thought that would be a bit of a better purchase. And I had the money for it, so I went ahead and did that. So since like 2009 roughly, I have been mainly using only screenless tablets until I got my first iPad in late 2019. So a full decade of using only screenless tablets, keep that in mind. Then I finally got my iPad in late 2019 because I was told that the pencil had pretty good levels of pressure comparable to an Intuos, and it was. And it wasn't. The biggest challenges was I got a small iPad with a glossy screen. See, the Intuos pads before, I wouldn't say were one-to-one with paper, but they had more of a friction type of feel to them to make it more comparable to that you were drawing on paper. Your hand wasn't just like gliding or losing as much traction compared to using a glass screen. But I kept pushing on. I didn't really think about getting stuff like, like a paper screen type of thing, 'cause I didn't think that was necessary. I thought I could tech it. I thought I could like push through it, grin and bear it, I invested into this. Surely all I need to do is just put more time and effort in there and I'll get the hang of it. Once again, I was very frugal about this stuff, so if I didn't think I desperately needed it, I just pushed on through. And for me, it just seemed like at the time, getting something like that was completely superfluous, and that I could just train myself to handle it much like regular screenless tablets or like drawing on pen and paper. The iPad I only managed to get because of a Black Friday deal back when Black Friday deals were worth investing in. So that was another thing to keep in mind. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten the iPad. I would have stuck to my laptop and Intuos for another 5 years. Point being was, I wasn't thinking. I just saw that, hey, I finally have the money to do this. I got it a good deal. I was told all about the cool stuff I could do with this, but I didn't think fully about the full transition into using an iPad, or rather just in general, drawing monitors. Eventually I started making more money, and then I thought, okay, what if I actually tried getting a drawing monitor? I started with a Wacom one, and it was pretty good, although ironically enough, the pressure levels were not the same as an Intuos drawing tablet. Like, for some reason, this just did not have the same versatility in that regard. But it was good for making me realize that getting a drawing monitor wasn't necessarily a bad investment. So eventually I did get a Wacom Cintiq 16. And the best part is unlike the iPad, these actually have better feeling texture on here on the screens. Basically has some friction with it that allows you to draw just fine. But this was really the biggest thing that I forgot when I was transferring over from doing drawing tablets to drawing on monitors and drawing on the iPad. My posture. Now I'm almost 30 and it feels like I'm double that. Holy shit, I'm old. Yeah, so this is where my stubbornness really got the better of me. I just assumed, oh my gosh, this is the same feeling as like drawing on a pen and paper. There's not as much visual disconnect with like drawing on a tablet to a monitor. Surely things will improve. They did. The big reason is because, sure, there's some disconnect with an Intuos drawing tablet and a monitor, but I had built this method up for a decade and gotten used to it. And then, like a dumbass, I was insistent on trying to get better at the iPad and Cintiq, but only focusing on getting better at the iPad and Cintiq and letting my Intuos drawing go to the wayside. I didn't even think about the full implications. I just saw like, oh man, everybody has a Cintiq. This is the thing to get. This is the one time I ended up getting consumed by the hype of something instead of relying on my skill and thinking more clearly about this. I didn't realize how much crouching and curling up and shrimping up was affecting my body because drawing on the monitor go brrr. I knew my art was going to have a temporary quality shift at first, but you know, new tech, you got to get used to it. But I got used to it in the worst way possible. By just forgetting my posture. Things for a while just looked more wobbly and unconnected. My art had already had this sketchy feel before, but it ended up getting worse for a bit before I got more used to it, and it still had some issues. So that's the thing ultimately with like drawing with an Intuos tablet and a monitor is that you're actively having a better form of posture. Sure, your head might be going up and down, up and down, up and down, but your back's not going back and forth and crouching over so much. It's staying for the most part upright. You may think, well, keeping my back straight takes up more energy. If I slouch over, I'm not going to waste as much. But ironically, it takes up more energy. As I mentioned earlier, keeping yourself slouched for long periods of time is horrendous for you. But here's more exactly why. First off, your body is straining more by keeping your body upright in this position. You're basically moving more of your body weight forward, so your body's muscles are working overtime in order to counteract that to keep it balanced. It also gets your breathing messed up because you're pushing in your diaphragm and you're messing up that whole system there. Breathing's important because you need oxygen going through your body from your blood to your brain. You're tiring your body out, and it's horrible because when you're working on art, it's a mental process. So if you're wearing out both your physical and mental, you're gonna slow down your process unintentionally. It's awful. It also messes with circulation sitting for long hours, especially slouched over. That just makes it worse. It can also cause tension headaches as well because the shoulders are being tensed up and those muscles are tied up towards your head. Another fun problem that makes you not want to focus on art. Even stranger, this thing can mess up with your digestive tract. It does make sense when you think about it, but you wouldn't immediately think about it. Yeah, apparently slouching over for long periods of time can end up, like, again, compressing parts of your gut that make things worse because it can give you a heartburn, acid reflux. It slows down your digestion. So basically, your poop cycle is messed up and you start developing more acid reflux more throughout the day and during the middle of the night. It's fun. And guess what symptoms I started developing as soon as I was crouching over more using my iPad and Cintiq? It also didn't help that I just kept forgetting to go on 30-minute walks a day. I used to do that more frequently, and then I just stopped because, I don't know, I stopped. I wasn't paying attention to my health at all. I just kept tanking it and working at it because I thought I could handle it. I can handle this. This isn't a problem. I'll just keep pushing through with it. I can live with it. Yet at the same time, because of this, my fatigue grew physically and mentally, which made me not want to focus and made me not be able to have the same artistic output as back then before 2020. And more recently, I've had issues sleeping because of bad circulation, where it's easier for me to cut off circulation during sleep or working. At the times where I've woken up in the middle of the night and parts of my body are just numb, like my hands and my arms. It is not fun waking up and feeling part of your left arm be numb and thinking you're about to have a heart attack, but no, it's not because of a heart attack. You were sleeping on it wrong. And that's a big problem as well because turns out I learned from my dad that I'm predisposed to blood pressure issues. So that's great. Doesn't mean I will or won't develop blood pressure issues, but it's something to keep in mind. Given how I'm almost 30 and I've been having this bad back posture for years, I need to get back on track. I need to fix this. But you might be wondering, well, how did you even figure this out in the first place? Well, first let's talk about something. Rome wasn't built in a day, neither did it fall in one. The symptoms I ended up developing were accumulated because I never course corrected proper, and sometimes you don't realize the mistakes you make until you're further down a path. Think of it like two arrows going up, but one is just off by a single degree. And at the start, it doesn't look like much, but give it more time and it'll be wildly off course. And that's only when you'll notice. And the time it takes to course correct is a lot. But when I finally started realizing my issues, it was actually in 2025. I got a brand new computer in the summer. It's an HP Omen with GeForce RTX 4070. I got some extra RAM and I made it 48 gigs of RAM instead of it being 16, which, holy shit, the foresight on that. I feel like I got on the last copter out of Vietnam. Holy shit. I forgot what this processor is at the moment, but it's Radeon. I know that. It's an AMD Radeon. I know that. I also got an Acer monitor that's 27 inch and has a max setting of 180 Hertz. Now you might be asking, what is Hertz? Basically, it's a refresh rate type of deal. The more it refreshes, the more it processes stuff. So a more smooth display, less motion blur, things feel more crisp and clear more often, faster input response and visual response as well. Just better visual response to everything that you're inputting. So say you have a 60 Hertz monitor. At most, it will show 60 frames per second, or rather refreshing 60 times per second. But it may not always show that because that's the cap. It may not show 60 frames per second all the time because it's capped to show 60 frames a second at most. It's why in video games, when you have it say 60 frames per second, it's not always going to hit 60 frames per second all the time. It's why when you go and move it up to 120, it'll hit 60 or 70 frames more consistently. Having a higher cap means things move faster. It's also why some folks that are into esports get monitors with ridiculously high refresh rates. I found out about one that's like 720. What? How big do these get? And for art, it helps make things move faster because, well, it doesn't feel as sluggish and makes things feel less like a drag. However, I was still using my Cintiq 16, which has 60 Hz. Not horrible, but it is a noticeable difference compared to 180 or 144 Hz. I got a second monitor though in January of this year just to help with multitask stuff, because I saw a bunch of other artist setups and a lot of them ended up having two monitors. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out, and honestly it did. It helped a lot with multitasking. And it made me realize even more how slow it felt to use the Cintiq. And then I decided to bring out my Intuos just to test it, and holy shit, it is faster. But a bit more unstable because guess what? I was focusing on the Cintiq. I didn't really use my Intuos a whole lot, so it's been a bit shaky, but it still got use. It got me to thinking more about properly optimizing my workflow. I was satisfied with my new PC, and so I held off on trying to add anything else to it. But then I saw people with having multiple monitors, and I decided to give it a whirl, and I decided, you know what? I do need to be a bit more conscious about how I'm setting up my workflow here. So I did more digging and tried messing around with my monitors and my tool positions, and realized soon enough the issue wasn't purely the Cintiq itself, but how I was positioning it. See, my Cintiq position was never at eye level, no matter what I did. I was crouching over. No matter how high I made it, I kept it at a tilted position instead of like making it more towards my eye level. But the Intuos never had that problem because the way it was set up before with my laptop and now currently with my computer, I'm not crouching over to look at it. I'm keeping my back straight looking at the monitor. The only way I could, in theory, fix this was with one of those fancy metal arms, but those were expensive. They could be like $100 in order to get a decent one, and I just got a new monitor. I don't need to keep spending money on a ludicrous price. It was at Walmart this whole damn time for $30.
I think I'm gonna strangle myself with this arm.
Okay, now to be fair, Walmart for 30 bones. This thing was either going to last until Judgment Day or it was going to break down in a couple weeks. But somebody that I knew that worked at Walmart actually said that these do last and these do work, so I got it. And you know what? It's working pretty damn good. While on that, let's have a look at my desk. So this is the Cintiq 16-inch monitor and the arm I talked about. It's duplicated to my left monitor, as I said, and it's great to look between and compare colors since the Cintiq has more accurate colors, but for print and web purposes, it's great to see how colors look on differing screens to make sure that it can work on different devices and different print types, since on occasion I do make comic books and prints for conventions or other things. But why do I still have the Intuos and the Cintiq monitor, you may be asking? For me, I have found that the Intuos helps a ton with making quick composition sketches, cleaning them up, as well as doing any like little cleanup work for lines, doing flats, and just quick tasks like that. It's very speedy, especially with this monitor being at 144 Hertz currently. It is so fast and it makes things go by quicker and I don't feel like I'm dragging as much. You see, this monitor is currently set to 144 Hertz. The highest the Cintiq can go to is 60 Hertz. So basically, it's not as fast for doing sketches and stuff. But that's not what I'm using Cintiq for, because I'm not coloring my pieces like I'm doing a coloring book. I've used the fill bucket tool, which is a technique I'll talk about another day. But for line work, which is already a more focused and by comparison slower process, yeah, this is perfect. This is absolutely fantastic. There's a lot more sturdiness using the Cintiq, and the fact that it's at a lower hertz by comparison doesn't impact the process really, because doing the line work is meant to be more methodical and surgical for me. It's meant to be a more relaxing process. It's meant to be me taking time with it to make sure that everything is connecting and going according to plan. The Cintiq also allows for better visual coherency, and physically it fits more of this methodical process. Less wobbly line work compared to the Intuos. And because of the arm, it's super easy to switch between the two, and fun as hell to switch between the two too. And all art stuff is focused through this monitor. Now this monitor is for everything that is not an art program. It also has my keyboard here, since most of these other programs were needed. But for art, I actually have this cool thing called a macro pad. Its name I forgot at the moment, but for the vid, I'll pull it up so y'all can see. It's fantastic. It comes with 16 customizable buttons and 3 dials. Now, you'll have to do a bit of learning on the fly because it requires a few programs in order to get it up and running, but it'll only take about like 30 minutes, maybe an hour. And as you can see with both the macro pad and the keyboard, I got some cool keycaps that fit my art style. Although it kept getting called the Borderlands keyboard, so yeah, there's that. Only 2 people called it the Gundam one, which, thank you for that. Anyway, for the macro pad, I used the leftover keycaps to make the buttons for the macro pad more distinct and match with their function. Originally, it came with 16 blank keycaps, 8 gray and 8 black. Now, having blank keycaps like this isn't ideal for me because it doesn't help me get a good muscle memory going if I don't actually remember what buttons I'm supposed to be pressing. So I use these remaining keycaps in order to be used in place of the blank ones. So that way I actually know what they visually look like. So when they're not in my sight, I can get a better memory map planted out in my head to remember which buttons I need to press for which functions I need. Also, you can switch through macro lists with these things. So I have 2 lists, one for Clip Studio Paint and one for streaming that's just playing meme videos or toggling things. Yeah, because of this, I keep it on this end with the drawing tools, and it makes it easier to move into position when I'm using my Intuos or Cintiq. There's only one problem with this, and that's involving the Cintiq, because unfortunately, there's a little bit of asymmetry going on here because I'm using my right hand to draw, which is more up. My left arm is down here using the macro pad. I gotta figure out something to do just to make things less strenuous, you know, but it is what it is. Oh, also these. I got these monitor lights. I was studying other artist setups and kept seeing these pop up. Turns out having these type of lights helps with eye strain since it creates another light source that helps diffuse things and reduce heavy contrast. Also, it makes your workspace more visible and it just looks more professional. Also these are compression gloves. Given how I realized the encroaching and worsening problems with my back, I decided to future-proof my hands by getting these. I only wear these when doing art, so typing and gaming, I don't bother too much. Although maybe I'll use these when I get back to fighting games proper because, you know, pretzels. But they have the same slick feel that standard art gloves have, so there's not any added frictions that make things bothersome when doing art. The idea to get these came up because my mama actually got me some compression socks for my day job since I walk about stand up all day, and they worked really well. So I decided, why not do that for my hands? And lo and behold. If you want to know how compression gloves and compression socks works, the basic idea is they're just tight enough that they apply pressure but don't restrict any blood flow. Think of it like constantly doing soft rubbing and massaging to reduce the pain and inflammation. Whether this is a placebo or not, we'll figure out in a few months, but hey, it don't hurt to try out. They also look sick, look at these. These hands of mine burn with an awesome power! Don't mind the TV here, that's just a place I'm experimenting with replacing it. It's literally just for playing my Blu-rays and PS3 games. Invest in physical media. Yeah, that's my current setup and how we got here. I want to make this extremely clear, non-opaque even. This was made from my specification. You may not be able to connect as well with an Intuos. You may not even like using a Cintiq and prefer to use a screenless tablet, or hell, even be a masochist and use a mouse. I know people that use these with intention for drawing, and they scare me. Your setup ultimately depends on what your needs as an artist are. And you're gonna have to think a lot and experiment with that before you get to where you need to. I've been working on this setup for 3 months to get this all set up in order to be a better setup. And there may be changes that happen and continue to happen. But again, it took time and it took me thinking seriously about what my needs are as an artist, what I need to fix, and what is needed in order for me to improve and make better strides. If there are some recommendations that can help anyone out and are more general good things that anyone can benefit from, here's a couple things. Number 1, get a good monitor with a high hertz count. This will help you out with refresh rates. Trust me, this will help you out. At least get started with 120 hertz. Trust me, you'll notice the difference when you set it up to 120. Get a nice ergonomic office chair. Don't worry about gaming chairs. Don't worry about really nice looking chairs. Get a chair that is made with ergonomics in mind. It's stuff that's going to be easy on your back. Stuff like keyboard pillows or mouse pillows and stuff. These are really good for your wrists. Trust me, they'll help you out. Also, they'll help out with you preventing having any tennis elbow issues. Yeah, here's the thing. Artists can develop tennis elbow or golf elbow issues because of how we draw and stuff. So having these pillows can help make things sturdier and can help make you not put as much pressure on there. Monitor risers to help make sure that your monitors are actually up at your eye level so you're not bending over or crouching too much. Or your laptop. And a macro pad of some kind. I genuinely think everybody should have a macro pad if they're doing art. This helps out so much with creating shortcuts and stuff and speeding up the process. Those kind of things can help with general ergonomics and helping you with your productivity. I'm not going to recommend to you what kind of tablet to get, what kind of drawing monitor to get, or any kind of art program. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I'm not you watching this. You're different from me. I've had Clip Studio Paint since 2015, back when it was called Manga Studio 5. This thing has been my workhorse for over a decade now at this point. And this was being used before I got my newer laptop in 2016. My laptop I had for 9 years up until mid-2025. Would I encourage you to check out Clip Studio Paint? Yes. Would I say that that is something you have to get? No. Because again, it all depends on what you're needing as an artist and what skills you're needing to refine or improve upon or better enhance. Again, it's all about what you're looking for as an art program and what you're needing as an artist. There's various different brands of drawing monitors and drawing tablets and art programs that you can check out or watch videos on. I don't have the money to buy all these things in order to compare them to you. Maybe one day I could. Other thing as well, just keep in mind, like I said earlier, I didn't get all of this in one day. Don't waste all your money getting the exact stuff that I got just to go ahead and create a setup that you're not gonna be good using or comfortable using. Once again, you're gonna have to take time bit by bit developing this new setup to make it work for what you need to do as an artist. You may not need monitor arms, you may not need this type of keyboard, you may not even need a macro pad, you may not even need multiple monitors, or you may need several. I don't know, but that's up to you and what you're needing. One more assuring thing, because I know we are in one of the worst generations for getting newer and better computers. Gavin, please save us. Oh my god. But you can manage by on an older machine. It may suck, but you can manage on it, and you just got to be savvy about it. I was able to last as long as I did on my laptop because Clip Studio Paint uses the CPU more over the GPU. My CPU was able to not die as fast as my GPU, and I was able to modify my RAM at the time to go from 8 gigabytes to 16 gigabytes. That was the only modifiable thing in my laptop. So before upgrading, make sure you know about what specifications that you're needing for the art programs that you're currently using or what you're investing in. Are you doing 3D modeling? Are you just doing illustration work? What are you doing exactly, and what do you want to focus on? I only got as much memory as I did for this new thing because I wanted to invest in trying to do VTuber stuff. Hell, this thing was made with this brand new computer. I learned how to make and rig this model myself with this new computer. But I can also do better on this model, I will say. I can do better. You may have noticed that the mouse movements are not the best. I apologize. apologize. Ultimately, though, you just need to take some assessments and understand what your needs are as an artist and how to go about them. Experiment with more immediate things first, like your keyboards, your mouse, monitor risers, and chairs. Then bit by bit, fiddle with more big tech things like movable monitor stands, drawing monitors, drawing tablets, macro pads, upgrades to your PC, and so on. Once again, just getting the best tech just because it's super buff and powerful doesn't mean it's a right fit for your needs or that it'll make you inherently better. It's all about perspective and understanding, and more importantly, good application of those tools. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you learned a few things. It's been a while since I've been making videos more consistently. I want to get back to doing that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.